friends, another day. We are happy once again to be here. I'm very happy to bring you another story, another experience. Now, this story is about clay. Clay, the one where we mold and make some pots or some plates, even toys to play with. For us who grew up in the village, we didn't buy toys from the supermarket, but we actually made our toys either from the soil, but since we had clay nearby, clay was what we mostly used. Now, clay is a type of soil. It's mostly very sticky and has very little oxygen within it if it is full of water. It's always full of water because we normally get it from the swamps. But sometimes there are places where you find that clay doesn't have too much, has a bit of oxygen, so they grow in some rice, some things in the swamps. But the clay we want to talk about today is the one which we use to mold things. We mold pots or we mold toys. I want to start by telling you a story about myself. In the village that I grew up in, that is in Bushenyi district, I really loved to play with clay. You could easily say that the story may be in this little book, I love to play with clay, is partly my story. And this is why I want you to also learn to tell stories about your life and share them with others like I'm sharing with you. Now, from the clay at home, we used to make, yes, as children, of course, we would make toys, would make cattle out of clay, would make children like us and parents out of clay. We would even make sausages out of clay, except of course we never ate those sausages since they were actually clay. Now, the clay would go to the swamp, take a hoe. Of course we used to use small hoes which are being used, and they are no longer big to harm the child. So we dig up the clay, we smoothen it a bit, tie it either in the grass or the banana leaf, put it on our heads and bring it up here. We lived on a hill, and bring it up here home, and then we started to mix it with water and design it into different things. Of course, as we grew older, we also found that to cook like dry beans, they cook very well inside the clay pot. Sometimes we'd also cook beef. You know what they call boil. You boil it inside the clay pot and it will come out very nicely. Now, in the village at that time, we never had fridges. So there were pots which are made out of clay that can function nowadays like what we call fridges. But we used to keep our water there, and it will be very cool and with a very, very nice scent and taste. I think the taste was coming from the clay. Now, within the swamp we also found reeds, but for reeds we make different things like baskets. So we have pots for water which act as our fridges. You can also make millet porridge, the sweetened millet porridge, in a pot. We also have pots for cooking. We also have pots which act like saucepans where you mingle the millet. And of course you also have different types of products, plates, bowls, which we make out of clay. And charcoal stoves. Now the clay you buy from the supermarket may not actually make these pots, as I'm saying, or the plates. One other story which I want to briefly share with you as a result of the objects which people make out of clay is the bricks. During the war that took Amin out of power, that was 1979, there is one night that we had to stay inside a kiln. A kiln is where the clay is piled together and they make something like a house. Now, back to our story in this book about the clay. If you also get a chance to see fellow children who are using the clay in one of the Mebo Children Holiday Makers program that I conducted just a few years back. Now I want to read just a few lines from this, if you allow me. Today we will not have a song, but the way this story is written is like a song. I will read for you a few lines from this book. I love to play with clay. Clay, clay, how I love to play with you. Because I love to play with you, I carry you all the way from the swamp. I carry you all the way from the swamp to make new things out of you. To make new things out of you, I put water in you. I put water in you. Now you are soft in my hands. Now that you are soft in my hands, I will make new things out of you, like pots and plates and cups and bowls and toys, and a very big trough to water our cattle on the farm. Now, I've said that this soil or the clay is coming from swamps. Many of you think swamps are always dirty and swamps are bad. No. Just one thing which you'll also read for yourself from this book, but I'm only reading one paragraph to help you locate it, is that swamps help to clean up the water in the lakes and the rivers. People can also get very good wood. You can get canes to make chairs or stools. And of course we also get the grass to thatch houses or huts, those who live in the huts, but also papyrus reeds where we make baskets where we can put our food and serve it from, or baskets where we can keep things. Now, I also want to encourage you and the parents that as we go through this story, we also do the exercises or look at the exercises at the end of the book. As usual, we have grammar exercises. We also have exercises that help us to understand the story. We have the glossary of new words. And like we had in our last episode, you can actually also get an expert, or you yourself, you become an expert to speak on clay. For example, in the Bible, those who read the Bible, we read that there is clay where God created us from. And then you can also find about that one. But also, you can tell stories like I've told you about my story. And you can also make a performance. One thing which I can also encourage you to do, those who want to do film studies, those who want to study animation, somewhere you'll use that clay from the supermarket, especially for animation. Thank you for your attention, and let's enjoy playing with clay.